Tonight, the Palm Springs Unified School District is preparing to fully reopen with online learning next month before potentially transitioning to a hybrid learning model after Labor Day. But there are plenty of questions about how that will work and what that will look like. I spoke today with Superintendent Dr. Sandra Lyon. Dr. Lyon, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. So good to be with you.
The board approved the proposed plans for the upcoming school year. Can you tell us what that entails?
Well, what we're going to do is start remotely. The board agreed to a plan that will allow us to really evaluate the health conditions before we move into a hybrid model. So our goal has always been a continuum of bringing students back as fully as possible over time with existing health conditions permitting. And what the board did on Tuesday night was really say, yes, we want to start in remote learning, and we want you to come back with that phased in approach to a hybrid program as conditions allow.
And the plans include fully online learning until Labor Day, after which, as you just mentioned, there will be a hybrid model.
Right.
What if the virus outbreak gets worse by that time? Will there still be a hybrid model, or will there be flexibility here?
Right. There will be flexibility. And now the health and safety is on everybody's mind, and that's our most serious concern. And so the board clearly gave us the latitude to come back with them and say, you know, conditions are not permitting right now, and we think it's best to continue with distance learning at this time. You know, the legislature in the omnibus trailer bill really said that, you know, barring health conditions, we should be really working to get back into schools. And so we want to do that. And we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and safe in doing that. So right now, remote learning and working toward that sort of hybrid 50% of our students on campus at a time model.
How is the process in getting each student caught up with online learning, making sure that they will be capable?
Right. Well, one of the things we're going to do first is have professional development for our staff so that they feel really comfortable in meeting these new expectations that have been very clearly laid out in the trailer bill about what our distance learning program needs to look like going forward. And so they're going to have, I hope, more tools in their toolkit to really reach out and connect with those students. In addition, we will have a team of folks who will be working to connect with families, reach out if students aren't logging in. You know, when we went off of our campuses in March, we really weren't taking attendance. We weren't necessarily giving grades. There was a real push for districts to do a hold harmless approach so that students wouldn't be penalized for suddenly learning in a way that they weren't accustomed to. Now going forward, the expectation is this will be new material, grades will be given, students will be accountable. And so we really want to get everybody up to speed on what this more rigorous remote learning environment looks like.
How have teachers been adjusting their curriculum for fully online learning, and will teachers still be teaching from their classrooms?
You know, those are some of the details that we're ironing out right now. So we are working with staff to determine what that initial phase of remote learning looks like. And, you know, as I've just talked about, there's still some ambiguity in terms of how we roll out and move to this hybrid learning piece and what our families want as well. So right now we're working with our staffs to develop that first, at least what will be a month of everybody doing distance learning. And then we'll be working with a more robust platform, and staff's given us a lot of input about what worked and what didn't work. And so we'll be incorporating that into our curriculum design.
I'm curious, are some of the little hiccups that you're having to deal with figuring out what to do in terms of muting or unmuting students, or making sure that students aren't cheating and staying honest? It seems like there's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah, there is. And it is a different world teaching in an online platform. So again, those are the things that our teachers are working with us right now. We also have students in our focus groups so that they're able to also tell us what's working in that online platform and what's not. And we'll be incorporating that. I think the difference in particular will be that there's much more expectation of that live contact on a daily basis. And I think that'll be good for both our students and our staff in feeling connected to the work and connected to the learning.
I'm curious, Dr. Lyon, what are some of the concerns you're hearing from parents, including parents who have to go to work and leave their kids at home? And how are you easing some of those concerns?
Well, that is one of the biggest challenges. And we know that's one of the reasons why everyone wants us to get back, open, because we have families who do have childcare and issues and really do need to have their students in school so that they are able to work. We're still working to see if there are some childcare options. And so, we'll be letting people know about that as we go forward. What we're hearing from families most, though, I would say, and I was just looking at the initial report, which we will be putting information up on our website about our panorama results that we, not panorama, I'm sorry, thought exchange results from our town hall the other day. And, the thing that comes up the most is safety. I would say over and over again that that's the gravest concern for folks about coming back to campus. So I think we can work with our families and our staffs to get through concerns around this distance learning phase. And then we just need to be very mindful and responsive to the concerns that folks have once we get folks back on campus.
Obviously, this is a big change for students having to adjust to all of this. What mental health resources are available for students? And also, what about students who still depend on school meals?
Right, great questions. In terms of mental health, that's one of our big priorities. And in fact, it's one of the things teachers have asked us to make sure that coming back online, we are really, when we come back into the distance learning piece, that we're working to create those connections and relationships with our students straight out of the gate and assess students who might need more than just the social emotional support in that classroom environment. We've had our mental health operating always and continues to be a resource so that our folks can absolutely connect with any of us right now and get connected to a mental health provider if that's what they need. So that will continue. And, the one thing about the distance learning and, being in these Zoom platforms is they can actually connect with families and kids pretty readily without people having to come to an appointment. But we do hope going forward, especially once we have people back on campus, we will start again to be able to run small groups and have that individual counseling that our students need.
Before we let you go, Dr. Lyon, put us in your shoes. How challenging is this role for you right now?
I wrote to a colleague yesterday that I feel like I'm slogging through quicksand every day because it is, as you mentioned earlier, it's just not something we ever expected to do. This is my 13th year as a superintendent. And so you do feel like you have a lot of experiences in that portfolio. But clearly, these last few months have been some of the most trying that any of us in education have experienced, that any of us in any of our roles, even yourself, have experienced. And we all know that. So I do think there's a little bit of company in knowing that we're all in this together. We're going to come out of it just fine. And as I've said before, this is the first year in my 30+ year education career when I haven't had a pretty clear picture of what that first day of school is going to look like. And I just tell everybody, be flexible. That's all we can be right now. We don't know what the next week will hold, but if we work together and keep communicating, we're going to be okay.
You're right about that. Dr. Lyon, thanks for joining us. It's so good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Peter. Thank you so much.